Life of a farmer. I have worked on my farm for many years. Every morning I wake up early and go to the fields. The sun rises and the air is fresh. The birds sing and the sky is blue. I take my tools and start my work. The soil is soft under my hands. I plant seeds and water them. I hope they will grow strong. The farm is quiet in the morning and I enjoy the peace. Some days are good. The rain comes at the right time. The crops grow tall and green. The sun shines but not too hot. The animals are healthy and everything is fine. I feel happy and proud. I sit under a tree and drink cool water. The wind is gentle and life feels easy. I watch the fields and think about the future. I imagine a good harvest, full of golden crops. These days make me smile, but not every day is good. Sometimes the sun is too hot, the rain does not come, the soil becomes dry, the plants do not grow well. I work hard, but I cannot change the weather. I look at the sky and wait for the rain. I feel tired, but I do not stop. I carry water from the well, but it is not enough. The plants need more, and I can only do so much. One year there was too much rain. The fields were full of water. The crops did not survive. I walked through the farm and my boots sank in the mud. The plants were weak and brown. My heart felt heavy. I sat on the ground and looked at my hands. They were rough from work. I could not fix this problem. I wanted to save my crops, but the rain was too strong. The water covered everything and I felt helpless. I learned that life is like this. Some days are good and some days are bad. A farmer cannot control everything. I must accept it and keep going. The sun will rise again. The rain will come again. The farm will grow again. I take a deep breath and stand up. No matter what happens, I will keep working. Farming is not easy. It takes time, patience, and hard work. Every season is different. In spring, I plant the seeds. The soil is soft and the air is cool. I work all day, making sure every seed is in the right place. I cover them with soil and water them carefully. I know they will take time to grow. I check them every morning, waiting to see the first green leaves. It makes me happy when I see the plants begin to grow. Summer is hot and long. The sun is strong and the days are dry. I wake up early to water the plants before the heat comes. I pull out weeds so they do not take food from my crops. The plants grow taller and the fields turn green. I feel proud when I walk through my farm, but summer is also hard. Some days the heat is too much. The soil cracks and the plants become weak. I do my best, but I cannot control the sun. Autumn is the season of harvest. This is the time I wait for. I wake up before sunrise and start my work. I pick the crops with my hands and place them in baskets. The fields change color and the air becomes cool again. I fill my barn with food for the winter. I feel strong and happy. My hard work has given me something good. But I also know that not every year is the same. Some years the harvest is small and I must be careful with my food. Winter is quiet. The fields are empty and the farm is cold. The trees have no leaves and the ground is hard. I cannot plant or harvest. I spend time fixing my tools and preparing for spring. I sit by the fire and think about the year. I remember the good days and the hard days. I know that after winter, spring will come again. The farm will be full of life and I will start my work again. This is the life of a farmer. It never stops. Some seasons are easy and some are difficult, but I have learned to keep going. No matter what happens, I wake up, go to my fields, and do my work. The farm is my life, and I would not trade it for anything. I remember one year when everything was perfect. The spring rains came at the right time. The seeds grew fast, and the plants were strong. Every morning I walked through the fields and saw green everywhere. The sun was warm, but not too hot. The air was fresh and the sky was clear. The farm felt alive. The animals were healthy and the work was not too hard. I felt lucky. I thought this will be a good year. As summer came, the crops grew tall. The corn stood high and the wheat turned golden. I worked every day checking the plants, pulling weeds and keeping the soil healthy. The sun was bright, but there was enough rain. My farm looked better than ever. I sat under a tree in the evening, watching the sunset over my land. It was a beautiful sight. I felt proud of my hard work. Then, one day, dark clouds covered the sky. The wind started to blow hard. The air became heavy, and I knew something was wrong. A storm was coming. I ran to bring the animals inside. The trees shook and the wind howled. Then the rain came. It was not gentle rain. It was strong and heavy. Water covered the fields and the plants bent under the force. I watched from my window hoping the storm would pass quickly, but the storm lasted all night. In the morning, I walked outside to see the damage. The fields were wet and broken. Some crops were gone, washed away by the rain. The soil was too wet and the plants were weak. I felt my heart sink. I had worked so hard, but in one night, everything had changed. I stood in the middle of my farm, looking around. It was not the same farm as yesterday. I took a deep breath and told myself, this is part of life. Some years are good and some years are bad. I cannot control the rain or the wind, but I can control my work. I can plant again. I can fix what is broken. The farm is my life, and I will not give up. The sun will shine again, and the crops will grow once more. After the storm, the farm was not the same. The soil was wet and the plants were weak. Some parts of the field had no crops left. It was hard to see my farm in this state, but I knew I had to keep going. A farmer does not stop. I took my tools and started working again. I fixed the broken fences and cleared the land. I planted new seeds where the old ones were lost. It was not easy, but I did not give up. The days passed and the sun returned. The soil dried and the plants slowly became stronger. Some of the crops survived and I was grateful for that. I worked from morning until evening, taking care of what was left. I gave water to the plants, hoping they would grow. The farm started to heal. It was not as beautiful as before, but it was still my farm. I felt a little hope again. One day, my neighbor came to visit. He was also a farmer. He saw my fields and said, "It was a hard storm, but you are still working. That is good." I nodded and smiled. "A farmer must always work," I said. He gave me some seeds and said, "These will help you." I thanked him. Farming is hard, but farmers help each other. We understand the struggles. As the weeks passed, I saw small green leaves growing again. The farm was not lost. It just needed time. The trees had new leaves and the animals were healthy. The birds sang again in the morning. Life was coming back to the farm. I felt tired, but I also felt proud. The storm had tested me, but I stayed strong. I sat under a tree and looked at my fields. They were not perfect, but they were alive. I knew that next year would be different. Maybe it would be better. Maybe there would be new challenges. But no matter what, I would wake up early, take my tools, and work. Because that is what a farmer does. The farm slowly returned to life. The plants grew taller, and the fields turned green again. I felt relief as I walked through my land. The crops were not as strong as before, but they were growing. Every morning I checked the leaves and the soil. I pulled out weeds and gave water to the dry areas. The farm needed care, and I gave it everything I had. I knew that hard work always brought results. The animals were also doing well. The cows gave milk, and the chickens laid eggs. I fed them early in the morning and made sure they had clean water. I watched them as they moved around the farm. They did not worry about the past. They only lived in the present. I thought about that. Maybe I needed to be like them. I could not change the storm, but I could focus on what was in front of me. One day I went to the market to sell some vegetables. It was a busy place, full of people. Farmers talked to each other, sharing news about the season. I met an old friend there. He asked about my farm. I told him about the storm and the hard days after it. He listened and then said, "This is farming. Some years are good and some are not. But we always plant again." His words stayed with me. As autumn arrived, the harvest season began. It was not my best harvest, but it was something. I gathered the crops and stored them carefully. I worked all day, filling baskets and bringing them to the barn. The sun was softer now, and the air was cooler. I thought about the past months, the storm, the hard work, and the slow recovery. It had been a difficult year, but I had made it through. One evening I sat outside and watched the sky. The stars were bright and the air was still. I felt calm. I had lost some things, but I had also gained something. I had learned patience. I had learned strength. Farming had taught me that nothing stays the same forever. The bad times pass, and so do the good times. But as long as I kept working, the farm would always continue. That night I slept well. I knew that tomorrow I would wake up early, take my tools, and start again. Because that is the life of a farmer. It never stops, and neither do I. A new year began, and with it came new hope. The cold of winter faded and the sun grew warmer. The trees had fresh green leaves and the birds returned. I walked through my farm, looking at the land. It was time to start again. I prepared the soil, taking my time to make sure it was ready. I planted new seeds, just as I had done many times before. The earth felt rich, full of promise. I knew that soon small green plants would appear. The days passed, and I worked hard. Farming is never easy, but I did not complain. I watered the fields and cared for the animals. The sun rose early, and so did I. My hands were rough, But I did not mind. This was my life, and I accepted it. Some days were tiring, but I found joy in small things. A new plant breaking through the soil, a cool breeze on a hot day, the simple pleasure of a meal after a long day's work. One evening I stood at the edge of my fields. The crops were growing well. The farm looked strong again. I thought about the past years, the good times and the hard times. I had learned an important lesson. Nothing stays the same forever. The seasons change and life changes with them. There will always be storms, and there will always be sunshine. I could not stop the bad days, but I could keep going through them. A farmer must always believe in the future. No matter how bad one year is, the next year can be better. I had seen difficult times, but I had also seen good harvests. I knew that if I worked hard and stayed patient, the farm would survive. The land always gives back to those who take care of it. That is the way nature works. As the sun set, I took a deep breath. The sky was full of colors, orange, pink, and gold. It was a beautiful sight. I felt thankful for my farm, for my work, for the lessons I had learned. I did not know what the future would bring, but I was not afraid. I would wake up tomorrow, take my tools, and start again. Because that is the life of a farmer, and I would not trade it for anything. Thank you all for your time and attention today. I hope you found the lecture insightful. Take care, and I look forward to our next session.